Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, and anyone managing to get us based upon the technology. Welcome to our program On Target. The number to call is 442-0175. We on RealFM 91.5. We on Noise, that is Spice Ram, and that's 94.9 FM in Brooklyn, New York. We have been on that station quite a while. We continue to be on it. We're on YouTube, so you could pick us up from Spice Ram 94.9 Facebook, and that's Brooklyn, New York. Always remember, we never have a subject matter. We come on this program and we give you the permission to determine what we speak about. If you don't like what we speak about, change the topic. You can introduce any subject matter. Politics, religion, socioeconomic issues, you can speak about it. Give us a call. You're welcome. While we await your call, we continue to be baffled that McDonald College school is still on a shift system. There is absolutely no justification except those in authority don't care. I will go as far as blaming the principal of the school. Now, I have said constantly that the trade union concern mainly is about the workers, the members. They want to make certain that the members operate under the best condition, they don't lose pocket, and they get the necessary remuneration. Where productivity is concerned, unions, it is not the principal objective. Whether you're productive or not, the union still getting paid. In this situation, even the union don't care that McDonald College, who has been affected in some way by Hurricane Beryl. Even at this stage, children have to go to school by shift system. It is unacceptable. There were different options. McDonald College is the only school in St. Patrick's that have been affected. It appears the children most affected is in the lower Form 1s, and perhaps 2. The information I've been getting was from Form 1 children. These children could have been sent to neighboring schools based upon the proximity to their home. You have that school in Victoria. You have Montrose. You have SAS, St. Joseph Convent, Grenville Secondary. These neighboring schools could easily accommodate the Form 1s. Most of the secondary schools are not overpopulated. In fact, the teacher to children ratio is about 1 to 15 or 1 to 20. So temporarily, they could have accommodated these children while the school is worked on. Based upon the information I have from the children, there is no urgency to complete the work. One child tell me they're working slow. And it's difficult to understand. We have 2 senior ministers of NDC in the St. Patrick's area. That is Joseph Andal and Dennis Connell, two senior members of the National Democratic Congress. They too don't care. And I must say, it appears that the parents of these children can be bothered. Now, these have serious negative consequences for the future. Remember, over 70% of the children that exit school are not able to meet the minimum requirements. So they have serious challenges on the job market. No one seems to care. And you have to ask why. When societies deteriorate, it normally don't happen overnight, you know. In 1962, Jamaica was considered a very peaceful country in the world, you know. In 1962. Today, there are a number of police regions or police divisions in Jamaica where state of emergency takes place. They get violent. Trinidad and Tobago in yesteryear was not as violent as it was today. These things don't happen overnight. They come in your society and you ignore the signals, the signs, the warning. Over the last several years in Grenada, there will be a steady deterioration in the productive level in school. I would say you had the industrial action, the teachers work to rule, where in some instances they was not talking to the student. They wanted to walk away from the luncheon period, hoping maybe some mishap and violence take place in the school. You have a deterioration in groups in the school. So in yesteryear, you had a number of groups. You don't have it no more. But McDonald College has been operating on a shift system, and no one seems to care about it. I dare say, if it was PBC or GBSS, they would have cared. This thing is happening. You can't take it in isolation, you know. It is happening while we have a government that is propagating classism. While we have a government that took away money from disadvantaged children, and several of them had to quit National College because they were not able to come up with the money to go. While you have a situation where government cut the seed program and remove some of the elderly from the program. Government even removed $150 from the elderly. All these things have to be taken into consideration as you watch the negative consequences and the impact of our children. While you had an upsurge in violence in recent time, and those in authority, they don't care about rural Grenada. Maybe they believe that the majority of people are going to McDonald College fall in the classless group. Difficult, very difficult for me to understand Why there is no urgency to have McDonald's College fully operational. I have not heard any statement from none of the ministers. The man who used to be Foreign Affairs, well, the Prime Minister take over that position. So he has nothing to do. One is tempted to say that he's getting money under false pretense. The Prime Minister is now the de facto Minister of Foreign Affairs. He has time. And alternative measures could have been taken to have the children go to neighboring schools. If there was any urgency to repair the school, work could have been done day and night. So the only conclusion left for me to come to, that they don't care because they believe it's a rural school, St. Patrick's, and it's more classless people are there, and they don't care. But what even saddens my heart more, it don't seem the parents bother. And I always felt that our parents or the children in school today, their parents is not hungry for education. If your child exits school and they don't have the basic requirements to be competitive on the job market, it increases the possibility that they go to jail. The majority of people in incarceration did not have a good secondary school education. The majority of people in prison, not in Grenada alone, throughout the Caribbean, did not have a good education. You could ask the police. The majority of the petty crimes that take place in our country are done by young people who did not have a good education. When you compound that with the present policy of the government, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. And we don't seem secure. Look at the violence in Jamaica, Trinidad, St. Vincent, Antigua, Montserrat. The level of violence there is alarming. And it seems as though in Grenada, we're fighting to get our level of antisocial behavior and crimes up. When you listen to our Calypsonians, very few of them have motivating or encouraging words for our young people. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller.
How you doing, my brother?
Good, brother.
I was home when I passed in your shop a few times looking for you. When I could not find you there, I went up on the hill in the back by car, study looking for you. I passed it 3 times, but I didn't see you. Hey, Mr. Pierre, anyway, what I want to talk to you about is this so-called, I must call them, anyhow, we have different thoughts about this set of people, the so-called Jews. Mr. Pierre, you remember in 1982 when it was the farm in Ethiopia? These people went down there and they said they can't let the people suffer. That when they had the heavy famine, lots of them Ethiopians was dying. They went down there with plane loads, but not that they didn't really go to rescue these people in Ethiopia, which we know who these people are. The birth of the covenant which the 10 Commandments was written off. They went behind that because they say it's well protected down there. And they visit down there, they they took all what they could find, which is the history and everything, and they brought them back in Israel because they say they can let the people suffer. And what do you think they did? They sterilized the women, unknowing to them that they cannot give birth and have children in Israel. If anybody do a research with the birth rate with black women in Israel from Ethiopia or any other countries, they go realize what is happening with these people. These people are named very racial. Israel is an apartheid. Anyway, Mr. Pierre, I want to talk about certain things that Mr. Pierre. The fraternities I talk about with this man and the black axe. You know who? That's my belief. You know who was his first initiation? When there was initiating him, you know who was the first victim? Dante. And I rest my case.
Yes, the Israelis took 50,000 people who claimed they were Jews from Ethiopia. You call them the fallacy Jews. They were black people. That time Israel took Jews from Russia, Mexico, Africa, almost all over the world. But they took the fallacy Jews, 50,000 Jews from Ethiopia. I think they go back and trace to Queen Sheba. And yes, there is truth in what you said. Some of them was sterilized without their permission. When they had a child and they go to the clinic, they gave them Depo-Provera. That's one of the drugs that women take for family planning. And they did not get the permission of the people to do it. Doctors was giving these women Depo-Provera. So these people normally have plenty children. And it became of concern to some people when the number of children was small. And when they investigated, the doctors was giving those women Depo-Provera. Same thing you use here. Same thing the women take care not to have children. That is why we have so much greater women don't have children. They have one child or 1.5. 2. They take family planning drugs to prevent them from getting pregnant. Today, black women perhaps studying the most in the free world. And they're taking family planning drugs the most. In Grenada today, our population has not risen in the last 70 years in any significant way. St. Lucia had 412 people more than us 60, 70 years ago. Now they have about 70,000 people more than us. But not only Grenada, Barbados' population has not increased in any significant way. And we have a lot of migration. Our young men, 18 to 30, some of our most energetic and productive potentials are going to foreign countries with the law of greener pastures, and they're not having children. It's a challenge. I think more have to be done to encourage our women and men to have children. We mustn't afraid this topic. That's one of the negative of Pamela, the Democratic Party in the United States of America. They encourage abortion. They say they're pro-choice. They say it's a woman's right to kill the child. Up to 9 months, they say it's her right to kill the child in her belly. A lot of people is 7 months and alive. And then you have pro-life. The Catholic Church perhaps is the biggest organization promoting and supporting pro-life. The Republican Party under Donald Trump is safer with you where pro-life is concerned. They seem to be more against abortion. United States of America is practically aborting themselves away. Millions of babies are murdered, are slaughtered, or aborted in the name of pro-choice. Some women, if you don't want to have children, don't have sex. That's one way. The second one, you have the Bidens method, where you determine what time of the month you're more likely to get pregnant, and you abstain at that time. And some of these drugs have negative consequences. Even after you discontinue the practice, sometimes you have a child and it burns stillbirth. You're supposed to wait a period of time while you have your cycle, but you don't get pregnant. Otherwise, you make stillbirth, and it causes problem. So yes, scholar, some of the points you're making was right on target. Racism is a thing that is involved in almost all over the world. The Chinese are very racist too. The Russians, the Japanese, and obviously the Jews. Perhaps the United States is the most cosmopolitan country in the world, and the country that is most welcoming to black people and immigrants from all over the world. The United States have the largest black population outside Africa after Brazil. Brazil come first. United States come after. So the U.S. is very welcoming, irrespective of all the criticism here in America. They're much more welcoming to black people than China, Russia, Japan, and other countries. So we got to know these issues. And while in Grenada here, this present government seems to be propagating classism. I don't know what the policy is, but based upon the utterances, the expressions, and the actions they are taking, it seems they're propagating a new class structure in our country. And that's why I'm more concerned about the productivity level in school. And I want to wake up some parents. If you wake up, you could arrest the situation and help your child. Because the school seems to have a selection system. And there is a 70% chance that your child fall in it. The Minister of Education don't care. I believe Deacon should change the Minister of Education and try Joseph Andal there. And the Prime Minister should take Foreign Affairs, because he is the one that travels the most. So he may as well take Foreign Affairs. He has emasculated Joseph Andal. So it's practically an insult to the constituency what is going on with Joseph Andal. So it's better for the politics if the Prime Minister sends Joseph Andal in education and he take on foreign affairs. But you, the parent, have to understand that the schools are screwing up your children. And you have to take the bull by the horn. You have to prepare to get more hungry for education and help your child. It's unfortunate, but a lot of people, children who is succeeding, they go into school only for socialization's sake. The parents know what to do. The parents is in charge. And the parents making so certain that the child succeed. I know at the lower rank and file, it will be more difficult for you because you may not have the academic clout. You may not have the discretionary income. And to compound it, you may lack the discipline. But you have to understand, if your child, boy or girl, exits school without a basic requirement, they might end up in the Imani for deacon to take advantage of. They might end up as a caregiver. They might be struggling to get a walk on the road. And it's harder now because this government believes that some Grenadians better than others. They're propagating classism. I say to people, since your child have 5 years old, you must introduce music to your child. You could ask any teacher, if your child could play a musical instrument, if your child could play music, the child more likely to pass maths. Your child more likely to do better. This information is with us over 200 years now. But Caribbean governments have not established music in schools. Music supposed to be taught in primary school. Some subject you're teaching is waste of time. History, they're lying too much in history. Plenty lies. You have to prepare to spend time on the subjects that are more likely to give your child the competitive edge. If your child is successful in these subjects, then they could fit in anywhere. Mathematics, maths, chemistry, physics and biology, English language. Because of our geopolitical policies with Latin America and Cuba and Puerto Rico, it's very important, it's wise, it makes sense that our children could speak Spanish. So you should do everything within your power to help your child to learn Spanish. So I will include Spanish as part of the primary subjects. Mathematics, chemistry, physics, biology, Spanish and French, and music. All children in primary school should be doing music and learning to play 2 musical instruments. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, my brother.
You know, I hear you mention this issue of who is doing and making an effort to create class structure in this country. Mr. Pierre, I spent my life. I'm 68 years old. I grew up in the Gay area. I grew up in the revolution era, and I'm still there. So I'm telling you, I experienced the period in this time in history where class issue has become the biggest aspect of societal development. And as much as I do definition of issues, meaning of words and so on is a very big thing to me. That's one of my forte subjects. And in some cases, I think I've spent time and is able to redefine a whole lot of things that has been defined a certain way all through history or through period of time. And there's the need for redefinition, and I'm able intellectually, I think, to put a whole lot of that in perspective. And like I said, I grew up through the era when class has been one of the biggest things. This is one of the bases on which, for example, the NGM function in this country, relating to how Gary related to things and how the people of that era saw things to be changed, coming from a colonial background. Our country is the country base was established from the colonial perspective. And I'm yet to understand how that issue of class makes sense to people. In the sense that, you think you belong to a class. So for whichever class you consider yourself to be a part of, there you go, being maybe superior. Or if they convince you that in their class you don't belong and their class is the higher class or the better class or the whatever class, you in the other class is less than them, if you get the point I'm making. And this is an anomaly. To the extent that I'll use an example, for example, that if, for example, I, as an intellectual, or let's say one person that person is an intellectual, that person is brilliant, does that make you belong to a class? And the person who is, let's say, dunce, or as we might say it, or they don't know anything, does that make them belong to a class? So, okay, the person that is brilliant, he's as poor as a church mice. The person who is not brilliant is as rich as, let's say, Bill Gates. That puts him in a upper class automatically based on how they have been defining it all the years. That put them in a class which is considered upper, but here they are, even though they are not brilliant, because they have money or something like that, they belong to that class. So what actually qualifies you to be a part of whichever class? That's the point I'm getting at. Because if you see the contradiction that shows itself, automatically because you are intellectual, you belong to a class. Or you are a brilliant person, you belong to a class. Okay, the brighter set. As you usually say, you use that example all the time for 30 years now. The person from T-Color, they go to university. And when they come back, they don't have anything to do with people in the village. You get the point I'm making?
Yes, scholar.
They don't want to have anything to do with the person in the village because they have a degree or 5 degrees. Big deal about what? What matters in society is what a person could contribute from their angle. If, for example, the poor farmer, he could hardly read and write. He might be the most important person in the system. You get the point I'm getting at? So at what point in time you put him into a class that says that he's less than the others because he's a farmer or because he didn't finish school, he reaches standard 3 and he can't read and write good, whatever ever. To me, the whole thing doesn't make sense when you're trying to structure a society where you put people in class. Anytime you start doing that, you're disheveling the whole effort of building a society. So if, for example, no, there's that big effort, and I'm not that you don't give little examples every now and then, but in what you just said, you didn't actually bring out a particular example. But if anybody is trying to build a society structured on class, it is an anomaly, it is a contradiction, and it could never succeed.
Yeah.
Even in the Soviet Union, it shows itself. In America, it shows itself. In the capitalist system, in the socialist system, in the communist system, well, not so much in the socialist system, as the socialists try to define themselves or define the perception or the philosophy it looks a lot better there because they try to eliminate the whole aspect of class and give value to whoever could contribute to the development of the society. That is one issue. Let me come to another issue, Mr. Pierre. There is that statement made by one of the, I don't know if he's still active in trade union. Yesterday, you were supposed to give me a ride, but I missed it. And we'd have gotten a chance to talk better. That is Mr. Mason, who was on a program where he pointed out the whole issue of infiltration into the trade union movement with an effort to bring down the government. I am yet to understand how the trade union could be infiltrated. Because whoever is a part of the trade union is a part of the trade union. Whatever are the activities of that particular trade union, it is defined by the trade union itself. For example, you had the situation during the Gary time, where Gary started off as a trade unionist. Didn't he end up being the prime minister of the country at one time? So that he was infiltrating the trade union to become a politician and to become the premier and the chief minister and the premier and then prime minister. He was there as a trade unionist. Whatever he did in the trade union movement, for the purpose of the trade union movement, that's the definition for that trade union.
Yeah.
So I'm yet to understand how you could infiltrate the trade union for political purposes.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Trade union is not a political organization by itself. But if you are part of the trade union and there are issues that you have to deal with that is basically political, that's what the trade union have to deal with. So I'm yet to understand how the infiltration statement comes out, and it gives the impression as though it is those on some opposite side of the government.
It's a pity you didn't get to talk to him. I think George Mason is playing too much of politics as usual. Yes, Scholar, thank you.
Actually,
yeah,
he's my good friend.
Yeah,
but I will need to get a chance to talk to him face to face.
Yes, and then we could discuss that some more.
Sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yes, thank you,
care,
Scholar.
sir.
Yeah. Yeah, I think George Mason head must get too politically entangled with Deacon. I didn't hear George Mason's voice, although it is not his union, when the women lost their job and Deacon said they should have go in court. I think I should have heard his voice then. I didn't hear George Mason's voice when the president of the teachers union was calling to fire NNP, public officers, members. I didn't hear his voice in that. So I think he get himself too entangled in Deacon's web. But I hope you get a chance to talk to him, etc. And I say, in this period, the utterances, the language, the policy and the action of the government seems to be promoting classism. While that my biggest fear is that this thing take root and it is practiced in the schoolhouse. Already 70% of the children that exit school cannot meet the minimum requirement. When you compound that with the promotion of classism in Grenada, you're calling for trouble. And I always call on people, don't ignore the writing on the wall. When your children go wrong and they come afoul of the law or they become addicts, sometimes we ignore the writing on the wall. When you're a parent, sometimes you're the last person to know. You have to hear from the neighbors. Deacon and his members of his team. You may not hear the truth from your spokesperson. They may tell you everything is all right. Listen to the voices you believe come from the opposition and forget the messenger. Look at the message. You too preoccupied with the messenger. You're trying to shut them up. You're not likely to succeed. Maurice Bishop did not succeed. He ignored the writing on the wall. He threatened some of the people who tried to caution him. He put fear in the heart of those who spoke to him to say you're going the wrong way. The lawyer from Grenville that go to Bishop to tell him you're going the wrong way, he threatened to jail the lawyer. He peed himself. Maurice Bishop refused to change. And the comrades around him was telling him yes. And when the Central Committee took the vote, and he was voted against overwhelmingly, he take Castro advice. Castro tell him don't accept no joint leadership. Instead of that, he evoked the Angola option. But the individuals was well schooled. They were knowledgeable about what the repercussion would be. They knew their blood would be shed. So they didn't hesitate to wipe out Maurice Bishop. The writing is on the wall again. Why is it we promoting classism in Grenada? If it was GBSS or PBC school, it would have fixed long. The children from PBC would have been sent in neighboring schools. Even Dennis Cornwall and the Minister of Foreign Affairs would have been helping to fix this school. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre. Good
Yes,
afternoon, Antagon listeners. Mr. Pierre, listening to the PM for the last couple of weeks and his statements towards why he's traveling and the reason for traveling and such, all of a sudden, do you realize the Prime Minister take the capital from all the ministers? He take all the capital from one of them, even the great almighty Andy? So right now, Prime Minister Deacon is doing everything in his constituency. They are going through midterm. So you see them popping up everywhere in St. David, you see popping up. Playgrounds, Baton Academy, and so forth. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that. That's what he's supposed to do. But do you know, his supporters now is calling him MP Deacon instead of Mr. Prime Minister? That shows you a shift in the deception. Because he's the beloved Prime Minister, the most honorable Deacon Mitchell. But now he's MP, the MP for the area. He's doing well. Mr. Pierre, the hypocrisy. They chastised Dr. Mitchell for oil and gas. They said Dr. Mitchell lied. They said this, they said that. But lo and behold, we are seeing documents being signed. We are hearing people making comments about this oil and gas. Mr. Pierre, where is Mr. Nazim Buck, the leader of the committee that's supposed to go and find out what happened to Grenada Oil and Gas?
I thought he was selling passport.
Why
He must be busy. He must be busy selling passport.
Busy. Mr. Pierre, you have people turning a blind eye to what is happening in Grenada. Now you're hearing from a Minister of Health that the hospital will be statutorized suddenly in January next year. You understand? I mean, I don't understand how the men not seeing what's going on in this country here. They're doing it under our eyes and we can't say nothing, and it's that. That is the word.
But it's not true we can't say nothing because we've been saying.
Mr. Pierre, where is the Attorney General?
The
Where is the Attorney
Attorney
General?
She must shut him out.
Where is the advisor, the legal advisor to the government? Because this lady seems to be very quiet on all these things that's happening that is illegal.
I don't think she is a favorite daughter of theirs. The Attorney General is not a favorite daughter of theirs.
And lastly, before I go, there are the NDC supporters that seems to be attacking people that are doing goodwill. There's a nursing team here from America, greater nurses from America, and there are people attacking these ladies and nurses and doctors for doing a cause. NDC supporters, all they take all the time. One today for all you, it could be tomorrow for you, for me. Be careful. Don't dam the bridge that you cross. The committee will not be Prime Minister forever. Dr. Mitchell will not be there forever. This country will have change and change very soon. But folks, be on the safe side. And to those that come to the bingo who was there Sunday, that bingo was huge and massive. Mr. Pierre, were you there?
No.
I was there.
No,
I didn't win nothing, but I was there. And who know that particular field?
It was successful.
It was very successful,
Yeah,
and the mud on the ground was very muddy, and people were trying to avoid being in the mud. Because trust me,
I expect it to be.
You would not have seen. And for the great quality to host that bingo, it tells you that the bingo was successful. Mr. Pierre, have a good afternoon.
Yes, thank you. Our people tend to like bingo. It was a massive bingo. Then you find one of the most successful political party in Grenada pulling out a bingo like that, particularly at a time when the NDC is not doing justice to the people in the lower income group. I've always said that the NDC is a disaster for some. Yes, they pie in the sky for some, but they are a disaster for some. So on the ground, you could see people are recognizing that the NDC is a group of vultures, poor people terrorists, and they tell lies every day about everything they're lying. They say they're going to privatize, statutarize. You don't know which one. You don't know if statutarize is coming before privatize. And they do these things without consultation. A small country like ours, they want to turn over the hospital to create big money again for somebody. And the people in the lower income group are the ones likely to suffer most. Some medical doctors go make a killing from the poor. But I always tell them, the violence in the Caribbean, the violence in Jamaica and Trinidad, the writing was on the wall. We ignore it. And we believe we could take advantage on the people in the lower income group and keep them quiet. I want to warn you, even if you live in gated communities and you have big dogs guarding you, that won't save you. When a country have high unemployment and you purposely disadvantage the people in the lower income group, you're going to have a rise in social decadence. You don't have to go far. Look at Jamaica. Look at Trinidad and other Caribbean countries. Your children would end up victims. So it is when you have disease condition, you may start from the poor, those who don't have water, but it's going to affect you too. So it is in your interest to be inclusive and to do everything within your power to see your country rise. Obviously, this is not the story of Deacon and his group of vultures. I don't see how you could not call them vultures. They prey on the elderly, the physically challenged, disadvantaged children. They cause disruption in the schools. I don't know if the teachers get the money now, but those Imani can protest. They could only grind in pain. And I say to them, you shouldn't be surprised. Because in 2008, 2013, the same thing was done to you. The NDC, and this is the worst group of NDC we ever had, is the worst group. I don't see anything they have taught so far and got it right the first time. Nothing. In the last 2 years plus, they have not done anything and get it right the first time. If anybody wants to take issue with me, pick up the telephone and give me a call. Culture man, don't fret the phone, man. He was a prolific caller on the phone. I know it's difficult for you to defend Deacon now, because Deacon has been, some of his actions is indefensible. But you could tell us about agriculture, and you could tell us how you're doing. We know you was hard hit, or you were hit hard by the hurricane. You could call us and tell us how you're recovering. Don't fret the radio. And forget if people mark you. When you're on the radio, don't bother with that. People are going to come after you too. You like to go after people too, so don't bother about that. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre. One second. Yeah. The hue and cry I've been hearing for the past few weeks for the trade union people to get rid of the president of the Public Workers Union, who is in part representing the nurses and healthcare workers who fit under the Public Service Commission. But they represent public workers people. That is Brian Grimes. They've been calling for his head, calling for the workers to get rid of him as the president and so on. I didn't hear they mention Miss Hazard, who is one of the most outspoken person you could find when she speaks on issues, and very articulately. But maybe at the same time they are calling for the leadership of the union to be rid of. And given that there is a chance, a big chance, of the whole privatization,
the hospital being privatized.
No, they're talking about, what is the word we use again?
When I say privatize, statutorize, it's all the same thing. You're changing the conditions under the workers' work. You have to pay them under 84.8.
Well, I'll stick with statutorization.
Well, you could stick with that.
The effort to statutarize the hospital is a very difficult and technical issue.
Well, it's not difficult because they go already and pass.
No, this thing is not no simple issue. This is a very complicated issue because you have people who are part of the system, part of the process, I should say, who are public servants.
Well, they just have to pay. All they have to do is to pay the public. You see, the unions go to only concern that me workers get paid. That's all.
No, but at the same time, if they are placed in a category where originally they are moved from, okay, you start off as a public servant, right? You're now going into the statutorization. What are the conditions? And
once you are a public officer appointed by the Public Service Commission, all the union would not object against privatization here. All they're going to say, pay the workers. And the workers...
To get that to happen is that understand, Mr. Pierre.
The government were broken, the government have money.
They have to postpone the budget.
The budget is postponed because of incompetency.
Well, that's the point I'm making. Or to an extent, that's the point. So if there is no money...
But the third party behind it must have money.
The union. If there isn't money enough to satisfy the union...
They have money. They have money. The third party have enough money for Deacon. You have to see this thing as part of the big thing, the establishment of the next hospital, the space, the location where the hospital is, who want it. You have to see these things in a package. They have money. Money is not a problem.
When I say you might know I'm talking about third party. I don't actually know, but from my perspective, let me say this: that the union having to negotiate.
Well, you have to go.
And there are those who must by that time recognize they have to recognize.
Yes, and we reach to the end of the program. We got to continue with that tomorrow. We have to start with that tomorrow. Yes, my brother.
All right, take care.
As we come to the end of the program, we want to make certain that we thank all those who participate in our program. Your participation is very important. If you find you don't like the topic we are discussing, introduce new topics. You have the power. What I have to say is not important. I only speak because you're not calling. You could call and introduce new topic. If you want a particular topic to be for us to speak about it, you could make suggestion on it. You could use your social media and post things that you want me read out. Somebody said, so where is all the matches that you used to take on the road? They die out or Deacon tie them out. I don't think Deacon tie anybody who want to talk mouth. We have been on the radio speaking and we have been daring and challenging anyone to take us on. From the royalty to Sheldon Scott to Simon Says, or Master Call, when we speak, we dare you to challenge us. We on Facebook and we're asking questions, they could only attack us personally. And some of us don't care about personal attacks. So our mouth is not shut. We're speaking loud and clear. And even if you associate us with NNP, we are not mainstream NNP. So that is a new approach to articulating the issues and the challenges we have. So it's not fair to say people can't speak. Our mouth is not tight. We loud and clear, and we daring, and we asking questions. Like today, we want you to read about the Black Acts. Pick up your telephone, do research, read about the Black Acts. Sit down and write down the amount of lies Deacon tell and who he tell the lies to. That is important. When we say this prime minister is telling more lies than all other prime ministers put together, we dare you to take us on. That is why we want to research, record the amount of lies that he tells, the people he deceives. And you're going to see we do all in our power to speak the truth. We want to thank you very much for participating in our program. And once again, we want to thank 94.9 FM Brooklyn, Spice Ram. We want to thank you very much. Thank you.